Battleground, Sports Hungry Battleground, Joshua Darns, Pernell
What
Bills.
it is.
We are live. We are live. And so shout out to all the individuals who are checking us out, who are watching the live stream here on YouTube or on the Riverside podcast platform. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of things to hit on today. Joshua Darns, his Florida Gators are making some noise out here, man. They're making some real
Yes,
serious deal
sir.
noise out here.
CC champs. And I ain't heard about no hurricanes being SEC champs. SEC baby.
Oh man, no, no,
SEC.
no. Yo, look,
Y'all know y'all can't beat Duke, but it is what it is.
yeah,
We beat our supposed champs, but y'all can't beat y'all champs.
y'all
So it
be
is what it is.
y'all got some pretty good wins, and I'll say this, I'll give you your props. I'll give you your props. Miami ain't nothing right now in basketball. Their coach retired, right? Couldn't keep up with all the new changes that are going on in college sports overall. So, but we did get Duke's assistant coach become the new head coach. So we making some moves. We making some moves, right? If we
Y'all
can't win
trying to
it,
get somewhere.
hey, if we can't win it in football, we're gonna try to win it in basketball. That's what we're shooting for. Trying to,
Y'all
but
not beating us though. Yeah, see, it is what it is.
but let's go ahead and hit it real quick. So right here, we got the top four seeds. We got the Florida Gators. We got the Florida Gators,
Are those
Auburn Tigers, Houston,
are
and Duke.
those are those three SEC teams?
Two SEC teams. You got two. You got two in there. Houston's the Big 12.
Yeah. See, Duke be throwing me off like how they be doing how they do it.
They
But
like
we
Kentucky.
let them live how they live.
Hey, look,
Yeah, we
Duke.
let them live how they live. No, Kentucky is SEC.
Yeah,
I at least
yeah.
give them that.
They,
Kentucky is SEC, but Duke, when it comes to basketball, it's
them boys
like,
good.
eh,
Them boys.
they
Them
do
boys
whatever
look.
they want to do.
Hey, Cooper Flag
But
is nice.
Cooper like that.
He's nice. He might be
Yeah,
the first pick.
I'm interested to see what they look like. No, ain't no might be. He is. Ain't no
He
might be. He is.
he out for right now. I think he might play.
Yeah.
He might play the first game, right? The first game they may have. He might play that game, but is the odds of them actually sticking to it, man? It's not. I don't think he's gonna play game one of March Madness. I don't think he's gonna play that first round.
Yeah.
So that I mean
Yeah,
they're
Mike
playing.
right there. Numero uno.
Oh yeah,
Numero uno.
he nice. He
Yeah.
nice. He nice.
He is nice. He's
That
an
game
overall kind of dude. I ain't gonna hold you.
that game against Tennessee, 22
I don't
points.
hey.
He
And
looking
the
pretty
thing is he
good.
started off slow too.
Yeah, yeah.
I really like him.
I mean, but
He's
did you think the Gators would be this good this year?
hell no. Not even
So
gonna hold you.
yeah, so I
No.
don't think he
Not
probably
even
didn't
gonna
start out
hold you.
slow. He probably didn't start out slow. He just had a little, the team started out slow. He went with the team. But I mean, what, 30 wins, 4
Um
losses? That's a good season, man. That's a heck of a season.
I think they're kind of like what you look for in a team was like maybe they may start off slow, but
Hmm.
in the end of be all, they kind of fully come into who they are. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what Florida was. I mean, they were kind of wish washy throughout the year. They kind of made their way. They was like, oh yeah, we here, but then they would be like, yeah, we'll kind of let loose. And then when it came to like actual tournament time, they
Hmm.
kind of turned it up a little bit, which I'm happy with. It kind of sucks that the football team isn't along this way, but once again, as I put on my story, it's been a decade since we've been SEC champs. So
Yeah. But I mean, think about it this way
it's a
though.
good time to be here.
Football and basketball, the differences are is that with football, you gonna have to spend so much money just to keep up, right? And it wasn't like Nick Saban wasn't the guy on the other side, right? And it's not like Urban Meyer did not leave
Oh
y'all
yeah, yeah,
high and
yeah.
dry. You get what I'm saying? So that's a little. I don't take it as the Gators ate X, Y, and Z. Nah, the Gators had had got the coach they really wanted, right? Urban Meyer led them as far as he did, and he just walked out the building, right? So it's just a new thing, right? You just gotta hope that Billy Napier can actually can get you going. You know, hopefully he has the same type of success Billy Donovan had when he was the basketball coach for the Gators, right? Y'all best wins right here. I mean, it's crazy. Tennessee this for the championship, 86-77. Alabama earlier in the season, and then Auburn,
Yeah.
90-81. Auburn's is the other number one seed in the dance anyway. So solid wins, man. It's
I said we've essentially, I think, outside of one, we beat all of our top seeds. I'm saying, and Golden, he's really doing his thing right now. Offense, defense, perimeter wise, we are. Somebody made a comparison that they look like UConn last year, and I'm like, that's lofty praise. I mean, overall, the overall team is very good, but to put them in that UConn phase, that's a lot. But I'll take it. You know, I ain't gonna put too much hype on it. I think we'll at least get past round 2 of the Sweet 16. You know, I think we at least got that, so that's no problem. But once you get to that semifinals, I think that's when they will finally actually meet their match, and we'll see what they're really about. Especially if they can stay healthy, I think that we'll really see what the Gators about. And you know, I ain't gonna lie, it's exciting because, to be frank, we haven't been in anything this far. I mean, baseball, we made it this far last year, about this far. Softball, of course. Volleyball, I mean not volleyball, but oh yeah, volleyball, yeah. But
Florida's an all around school.
softball and yeah, we are all around. Florida's an all around school, but it's generally in like softball and gymnastics and soccer and tennis. I think tennis we usually do pretty good, but really it's soccer and softball where we kind of like make our mainstay in swimming. But if football comes along together this year, like I think DJ will, if hopefully that defense take another step,
25 could
and
be our
if we
best
can do
season.
something, it could be, especially if the basketball wins this year. It'll be a solid year for Florida. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, you're looking at like a 2008 situation, 2006, 2007, 2008, when you had the
The
basketball team
last
win,
man,
the football team
the
won.
last time we were truly relevant was, of course, with Kyle Trask, and we had that super offense,
Oh
but
my
we didn't
God.
have a defense. And then 2012, when the basketball team, of course, they went that far. But it's it's been that long, so it's been a long time since Florida has actually been somebody, to
I
say
mean,
the least.
it is nice to see the college basketball to have some more love going on this year than years past.
Oh yeah, and
Right.
just the ACC and UConn, you know.
It's great, man. I mean, the SEC went back because Florida they woke up out of nowhere. You have obviously Duke and their run. We always going to look at and see what Duke and North Carolina can do. Obviously, right now North Carolina
Yeah,
is the big talk here because they're technically in the play-in situation, and they are
yeah,
if they win, they're the 11th seed going into this, but they don't have any quality wins. They have a lot of quality losses. And so because their resume says, hey, they play the fourth toughest schedule in the country, but you only have like 2 significant wins, where does that even match up in terms of you getting into the big dance compared to you going to the NIT? So,
yeah.
you
It's
know,
like the Golden State right now.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely what that feels like right now. Right now, actually, we're seeing a lot of madness in March. That's outside of just college basketball. We're seeing the
Whew.
madness when it comes down to the WNBA, the potential lockout. We're seeing the madness go along in basketball, NBA. Certain players are showing up that weren't showing up the last few years, are starting to wake up. Right, I feel like I'm always going to say there's a trade on the line coming in the offseason, right? One guy just got moved down to the G
Yeah.
League. He just got moved down to the G League for like 10 games or like 10 days or whatever, just so he can get back right. Anthony Davis. I don't
Mm.
the magic over there is just off right now, and for the Mavericks, right? The magic is all gone. And then we got the NFL, and everybody and their mama is getting paid. if you say you caught 10 passes, we're gonna get you 100 mil. Not at least, not 100 mil. Let's say 50 mil. Everyone's getting paid. Everyone getting paid.
It don't matter. It's money, 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 money.
Oh
Like
my
what they
god!
said in Incredibles. You can't keep doing this, Bob. You can't keep doing this.
So,
It's
so
money, man.
so far, the guys that have gotten paid, we talked about it last week when it came down to the Bears retooling their O-line and D-line, right, with the guys they picked up. We are talking about the craziness when it comes to Atlanta, who actually will not be releasing Kirk Cousins, and so they're going to take the hit of his bonus, which is ridiculous, right?
I think it's like 15 mil.
Yeah, it's ugly. The Texans actually told, hey, Diggs, we'll take you back, but you're gonna have to take a friendly deal here. So he may not get the big dollars he's actually searching for, and I don't think he's going to get any more, compared to what he did in the previous year, especially coming off of a ACL injury. No. And now we're talking about there's 4 guys that got paid, and we're going to play a quick over or under real quick. We're going to do a quick over under here. All right. So here we go. Over and underpaid. All right. So we got, or you say they got paid the right way. I ain't put the normal. So signed a 3-year, $90 million deal. He has averaged the last 2 years 5 interceptions. The last 2 years in his three seasons in the NFL, he has 11 interceptions overall. He's one of the better corners, if not top 3, top 4 corners in the NFL currently. Did the Texans pay too much, pay just enough, or did they pay under the market value for a guy like Derek Stingley?
I think it depends on the guaranteed, because to be frank, I'm happy they got it done before the Patrick Surtain contract, because
that's
Patrick is in his mid. Yeah, I'm saying he's in his mid 20s, maybe late 20s, maybe in the case of Surtain. So he's going to get paid. He's in my book, he's probably the best corner in football right now. So at least they got this done before Patrick Surtain's contract. So you can't. I'm gonna say that they probably not they did underpaid, but they paid him right around, because based off what he has to do, the rules of the game these days that lean so heavily towards offense, and then I guess 3, just like I said, they got him paid before Surtain. That was probably the best thing that they did, unlike what they did with Laremy Tunsil letting him go. But with this 3 years, 90 mil, quote unquote 30 mils per year, I'd probably say it's probably somewhere around 20, 25 mil per year, which is what I feel like they probably are doing, which is crazy, but also depending on, it's just what the corners have to do these days based on the rules and how the NFL is.
It's tough.
Corners have to, it's tough. So the corners have to do so much in NFL these days. They can't put their hands on the players. They can't hip check like they used to. It's a whole lot more. You really have to go skill for skill with receivers these days. So based off that, it's not crazy, but we would kind of just have to, like we were saying the other week, would kind of have to wait and see how it looks. Based off his career and what he's been doing so far, it's not overpaid. I kind of say it's right there in the middle, because it's definitely not underpaid. That's like we said, that's 20 mil a year at the least. So he good.
he's coming out of college, right? I thought he was probably maybe one of the purest corners I've ever seen from a college game to go over to the pros, right? He looked like he was already ready for the pros, even his freshman year in college. But
hey, I'm sorry. I was gonna say about that LSU game, but that was the other way.
Which one are you talking about?
I'm thinking about what's the guy that played for Atlanta? I Blake don't understand that fast.
Terrell.
Terrell. He turned out to be very good in the NFL, but in that game, in the championship game, he was a little. He got beat a little bit,
He got beat. Look, the thing is, people remember him getting beat by Devontae Smith like crazy in that game. Was it Devontae Smith? Gosh, I think it was
No, not
Devontae.
Devontae. It was Chase.
Chase. People remember him getting cooked by Chase. However, people don't remember the season before when he was, did what he did against
Oh, yeah.
Alabama. You
Mm-hmm.
remember? So it's that short. They don't have long term memory. They have a little short term memory. And also, let's remind everyone when Chase got to the league in that Super Bowl, that last play, he definitely beat the quote unquote best corner in the league on the final play of that game. And it looked like he was going for deep. It was going to be a touchdown, but Aaron Donald made a hard
That was all Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I would say I think the running back in that moment was Perine. If he had slid and made that block, it was game over.
Chase was down the line. So
I'm saying, no one's deaf.
So Terrell,
Terrell,
he's a solid corner. Yeah, AJ Terrell, he's a solid corner in the NFL. Definitely would love to see how he grows. But man, it's this guy, Derek Stingley, man, definitely is a big time playmaker, and he deserves the money that he is getting.
Because when if he would have came out as a freshman, he would have been that guy. So.
Oh man, what about this guy here, Ja'Marr Chase?
Woo!
So you're looking at a 4-year, $161 million deal. 112 of that $1 million deal is guaranteed. Don't know how much of that is fully guaranteed, but it is. He does have that guaranteed money in there. Is this under or overpaying given the position he actually plays?
So, I'm not even gonna say that he's overpaid because, to be frank, this is all the Cincinnati Bengals' fault. Had they paid him a year earlier, he would have been just fine,
Mm-hmm.
And so they waited till he got the Triple Crown, and one of the more convincing Triple Crowns. Like I said, outside of the MVP, this was the most difficult Offensive Player of the Year awards that I have ever seen. Like I said, I would have gave it to Josh for the MVP. But Lamar, Saquon, Ja'Marr,
it was
those
tough.
seasons. That was a tough Offensive Player of the Year award.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the Triple Crown, he's only the 6th player to get it within this last decade, bro. You got to think about that's crazy. So I think it's only 3 players in the last decade to get a Triple Crown.
Mm-hmm.
That's in a progressively passing league.
Yeah,
that says a lot.
He's not underpaid by any means.
No.
I don't know if he's overpaid.
They should have paid him less.
You think they should pay him?
Not at all.
He's not.
Because this is 40. I would have did something like 30, somewhere between 30 and 35.
Yeah, I don't know, because what we're aiming for here, right? We got the guy who possibly should be getting paid the most money out of anybody in NFL, in Patrick Mahomes. It has been taking pay cuts since that legendary contract they said they gave him, but they asked him to take a pay cut so he can start to get more people.
They gave him a baseball contract.
Yeah. So now you're sitting here and you got Ja'Marr, and nobody's doubting his talents. Clearly, Triple Crown and what he's been able to do. He's the most formidable outside of him and Jefferson are going back and forth as the most formidable players to defend in all of football.
And to be frank, I think the only reason why they got him like that is simply because Jefferson came out a year before him. Yeah. Not even gonna hold you. I think that Ja'Marr, as far as size wise, he can essentially do the same thing as Ja'Marr. His offensive scheme is just a little bit better.
Yeah. It definitely
than Ja'Marr's.
The only thing I have the thing about when you pay receivers like this, and I know him and Burrow has a connection, and you're like, yo, let's be rocking and rolling. But we have visibly seen that O-line needs to be rocking and rolling. And so I'm a flow with this, but I think he's a little overpaid. I think he deserves money. However, the situation that the Bengals are in, if you had everything else kind of like buttoned up, maybe so. But because you ain't got everything else buttoned up, I don't know if I'm willing to pay that much money for a wide receiver when we can obviously say this. There's receivers coming out in the draft every single year. Are they Chase level? No. But we're not asking them to be Chase level. We're asking them to.
I mean,
I'm just saying, like, at this point in time, the way the game is going, you can get so many different receivers to make some plays, right? We're talking about the best receivers in the league. And over the time period if we've been watching the game, how many of them outside of Jerry Rice, and I'm just saying pure receivers, outside of Jerry Rice and the 90s wide receivers, more so 90s wide receivers, put it that way, because everybody in the 90s, if you're a wide receiver, you're top, you get in the ring. Now it don't seem that if you're going to get that ring, even if you are the top wide receiver in the league. And I'm trying to figure out if that was the best thing to do. But watch this one. Here we go. Here we go. Now, because he's gotten paid, now
all right, cool. Here we go. So
this flows into it.
No, this is exactly where I was going, because I was going to say he's not overpaid. The reason why it's overkill is for the simple fact that you got two of these receivers. So Jamar is making 40. He's making essentially 35 mil a year, maybe 40, somewhere between 35 and 40 mil. And then you got T making 20 plus mil a year. You have, what's that? 20, 60, and then 50 mil tied up in Joe.
Yeah, so
that's almost 100 mil in 3 players, bro.
So now here we go. I'm gonna keep this rolling. I did a little prep work before we got on this. So I'm
cool. Let's roll it. Let's see what we got.
Now, here we go.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay, here we go.
So you got 44% of your salary cap for 2025 tied up. Yes, you've hit offensively on wide receiver, quarterback, Mixon was Joe Mixon, so you had a running back at one point in time. You've hit on those positions, right? It looks like you got the little offensive skill positions down right, but you didn't hit on the offensive line yet. And we can all agree that you can probably use some secondary help. We can all agree that there's so much other stuff that you need. And again, you paid it's $124 million cap hit in a season for 3 players, bro.
Yeah.
You can't be telling me you want a ring. You can't be telling me you're shooting for this. But here's the thing. This is a long-term play. And again, this is one of those, we got to see how it plays out. But because I'm more on the side of I can get me other receivers that gonna cost me less in the next, in the upcoming draft or in free agency and whatnot. Like, I'm more so on the side of I would have let T. Higgins I would have traded T. Higgins, and I think that's still going to happen because out of that deal, only 2 years of his deal is guaranteed. The first 2 years are guaranteed. The last 2 are not. So I think if they don't make a run this next season, which I don't think they will be able to based off of what they've just done, and then that following year, I may have to trade him. I'm probably going to get that off my books.
No, this is a 2027 plan. This is a 2-year plan because
that's that window you talk about all the time. There's a window.
There's a window, and this T. Higgins deal is for 2 years essentially. They have him. They have him on contract for 4 years, but it's essentially 2 years. It's 2 years guaranteed. So Jamar is going to be there, of course. And this year, it puts a whole lot of pressure on these big 3 because if not for anything, Burrow has to throw for at least 5,200 yards. Because, like you said, the secondary. If you can somehow, and I mean somehow, because I have Brown. This is Bengals owner. He decided to put away his whole past and say, "Hey, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and pay my big guys." That's great, but you still need a defense. And Trey Hendricks is sitting right there. This guy has 25 sacks in 2 years. Name me two other players that have that. You can't, because they don't. This guy, the numbers that he's put up in 2 years is ridiculous. So if you're gonna say my guy at the Browns, look here. Myles Garrett just signed for $40 million. Hendricks is going to sign for at least 30, bro. At least 30. So,
where's your money going? Like, where's your not where your money going? Where you're gonna have
you can't put 50% of your cap on 4 players and expect your team to go to the championship. You can't do it. There is no other. I don't care about no AFC or NFC. There is no NFL precedent for 4 players, taking up 50% of your cap, over 50%.
That is
because, like I said, Hendricks is going to collect at least $30K. I'm sorry, 30 mil. Forget 30K. 30 mil a year.
30 mil or
I don't think people understand how big 25 sacks a year. 25 sacks within 2 years is. Like, when you get 25 plus sacks a year, you are like that. You are like that. So somebody said there's no pressure on the offense. Your defense is poo at this point when you only have Hendricks and some other potential corner, because your D tackle, he wants out because he can't get the money that he wants from Cincy.
Not at all.
He can't.
Not at all.
He can't. Unless y'all have to do some serious restructuring. Serious restructuring.
It's going to happen by next year. Next year, that restructuring is going to happen.
They have to.
But here's the other thing I'm lost on is that you better hit on this draft. You better hit.
Have to.
You better hit like a home run. Your trades need to be immaculate. Your picks need to be perfect, because your quarterback has been running for his life since he got into the league.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how many.
Completely.
We can all agree he's probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but you can't see that happening every year. If he's running for his life every year, he can't get the ball off. You let your running back go, so that fear is not there. I don't know, man. I don't know what the Bengals are trying to do, but losing seems to be their goal. They're gonna win some games because their offense is great.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you. If you want to talk about an over under outside of paid, I haven't looked at their schedule yet. So I would say they could win at least 7 to 8 games purely off of offense.
Mm-hmm.
The next 3 games, their defense gonna have to pull something out of their behind to say we are a team.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, I got them at least 8 wins. Unless I can see something purely coming off of this defense, that's an 8-win team. They going, like, I don't know. Like, Burrow has to put up 5. If Burrow doesn't if he doesn't put up at least 4,500 yards this year, they're not winning. They're not.
100%. 100%. With how the league is going right now and the moves that have been made, there's questions on if certain teams truly want to win, certain owners who they truly want to win. There has been some talks that the Cowboys are looking to make a trade. Don't know how valuable that trade's going to be. They tend to draft pretty well, but they have a lot more. They have a deeper issue than just a trade. Just like the Bengals have a deeper issue than just paying players that are really good. Yeah, they're Pro Bowl players, but we're trying to win here. Overall, over under. You said 8 for the Bengals, and I'm gonna say the Texans as well. Over 8, under 8.
I haven't seen their schedule yet. Like one, I'll tell you this: when I saw the Eagles schedule,
Mm-hmm.
it was as a quasi Eagles fan, I was like, dang, they really said F the Eagles because all of their hard games are away. I haven't seen the Houston schedule yet, but until I see some real change in that O line, I'm probably gonna say something similar to the Bengals, somewhere between 8 to 10 wins, because that O line has to get better. Until I see some real change on our offensive line. The defense is great. I ain't gonna hold you. Well, at least the D line between Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson, Stingley in the backfield, you're
Yeah.
good. I mean, not in the backfield, but in the secondary, you're good. But hey, like like I said, this is where QB needs to change. CJ, you could visibly see his frustration, and as a
Mm-hmm.
QB, you can't have that.
Not at
Um,
all.
Not necessarily that they need to change
This
QB,
is,
but his
well, yeah,
demeanor needs
he
to
doesn't have to
change
change.
and needs to
They
grow.
don't. They don't have to change QB, but I think this is what happens when you have the little sophomore slump in terms of comparing your first
Yeah,
year versus your second year. We're not saying, obviously you're not saying that he's not good. You're saying that, hey, year one they didn't know how to play, they didn't know how to scheme for you yet. Year two they
it's not
figured.
even that. He had a top five rookie. He had a top five rookie season
Yeah.
NFL period. But your O line was so trash, and then you had injuries as far as your receivers, as far as
Mhm.
Tank Dell, and then Nico got hurt. You couldn't really see who he was.
Well, I
So
mean, and
cool.
they had tight ends that was injured as well. They
Yeah,
came up
Sosa was
with an
injured for a
injury.
time.
But in the league, you have to win with whatever you got at this point in time, especially skill position, right?
Hmm.
It's more so skill position. You win whatever you got. The O line and D line situation, that's a little tougher to just say win with whatever you got because you need to have things working in the right way. But if you
Yeah.
got if you got Tank Dell and certain skill position guys out, Diggs injured and everything else out like that, okay, that's cool. But because you are who you are as a quarterback and who we expect you to be, you need to be the guy who elevates their play regardless of who you got. Because I'll mention Lamar Jackson. For the first 2-3 years, we can all agree who was his receivers. Like dudes were
Yeah.
dropping passes. Like we knew that
Indeed.
Lamar was going to make it happen, but we didn't know which receiver, which tight end, which you feel me, who else was going to show up for the party, right? So CJ has to do the same thing coming into this next year, which is, hey, you need to elevate the guys that you got. Whoever's playing, you got to have trust that they're going to elevate themselves as well. You ain't got Diggs no more because I don't think he comes back. I don't think he comes back to
Probably not.
the. I honestly, I could see him signing a very, very, very team friendly deal with the Washington Redskins. Not Redskins, Commanders, because he'll
Cool.
be close. Diggs, because he'll be closer to home. He's from it, man.
I don't see him signing with. I could see him more signing with the Tech. I mean, with the other Texas counterpart in the Dallas.
Dallas.
But
That was in
I
bad.
think I think this is a shared pressure. Um, I think I have the Texans going over 8 because of their division. Like I said, I
Terrible.
had the Colts as a sleeper playoff team. It's
Yeah.
a very winnable division. But I
Mhm.
think this is a shared pressure between CJ and Bobby Slowick. Obviously, Bobby didn't go anywhere this year.
Mhm.
Obviously, because he had the little weird leer. I don't even know if he's still the OC this year, actually. Um, let me check on that real quick.
Well, while we're talking about that, and we can get back to that, I do want to hit on the NBA just a little bit, just a little bit. We got an NBA guy in here,
Okay,
from the
so
Robinson
the
Network.
Texans got a new OC. The
What's his
Texans
name?
have a new OC. They got rid of OC. They got rid of
Who's the new guy?
Nick Caley.
Where's he from?
He's replacing Bobby Slowick.
Where's
I
he
think he
from?
was already. Oh no, he's from the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, that's a
You
good
know,
pick. That's a good.
Look. So we all like
That's a good
Rams
pickup.
because outside of what
Good
they
pick.
did with the early iteration with what's my guy McShay? Is his name McShay? McVay. Top
Yeah,
McVay.
yeah, McVay.
Uh, McVay is a heavy play action, heavy run dude. So
Hmm.
I think if they run the ball more with Mixon, that should open up some heavy play action,
Yeah,
and that
allow
should work
CJ to do
well
some
with
other.
CJ,
Yeah,
and especially with the receivers that they got. But I think him and CJ have a lot of shared pressure. I think Texans will win more than 8 games, but it heavily depends on the utility of the run game along with however that O line comes along.
hmm
That's going to see a lot about how that teams come along. But
I think I honestly between the two teams that we're talking about, they're all putting a lot of pressure on their quarterbacks to make certain things happen. These star players that they decided to acquire and to pay, but also they're putting a lot of pressure on these GMs to make do with these picks. A
we're just
lot of
not. Yeah,
pressure
the draft is going to be big. Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's a multitude of teams who are putting pressure on. We're going to hit in the draft in a draft that's not that great.
hmm
Um, so
Very top heavy.
you're going to have to develop a lot of talent in this draft. But I do want to hit on the NBA just enough as we get into it.
It's heavy.
The,
It's heavy
the,
this year.
the NBA after that Luka trade, after the All Star, has become interesting. I'm into it a
Yeah.
little bit now. I'm trying to see who's who. So right now I'm gonna just go over the standings. Currently, the Thunder are leading number one. Rockets are two.
hmm
Nuggets are three. Side note: before I say the Rockets, hey, look,
They're a sleeper team. They're definitely
they're,
a sleeper team.
they're a sleeper team, and man, I love their coach. I love their coach. Boston, I know you got a ring without him, but you wouldn't get a ring if he wasn't there to put the pieces together initially. All you did was have a guy bring you over the finish line.
Ime
Right?
Udoka.
Man, Ime has done a tremendous job for the Rockets, who felt like when James Harden left, they had nothing else to give, nothing to offer. They were in shambles, and now you have changed their entire foundation, and the Rockets are a sleeper team. So we got the Thunder, the Rockets, the Nuggets are three, sitting nicely at three. You got the Grizzlies at four, the Lakers at five, the Warriors at six, and then the guys for the play-in. We're looking at the Timberwolves, the Clippers, are the last two teams looking at the play-in right now, I think. So, uh, are the Thunder a legitimate team, or are they a year away from really being the team that we should fear?
They were what 2 games away last year? Nah, they
Mm-hmm.
them boys legitimate. I just heard it today. They are leading in eight eight defensive categories right now. They are number one. They are number one in 8 defensive categories, along with having the leader scorer and the leading scorer in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, your MVP goes by the name of Shai Gilgeous Alexander. He's that
Hails
dude.
from Canada.
He is from Canada, but
His mom's an
this
Olympian.
is that's it doesn't matter. That does matter, but it doesn't matter. He's from Canada, but
Yeah.
he Shy. He's that dude. That's your MVP candidate, and he's the leading scorer. Along with, like I said, your defense is leading in 8 different categories. That is, look here.
Uh,
NFL teams often don't lead in 3 categories.
I don't know.
Three categories. They usually are number one in like 3 categories, and then they kind of go somewhere between 2 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the NBA these days and you're leading in 8 different categories, that can lead to that can lead to wins, including your MVP candidate being the league scoring leader. That's huge at this point, especially this late in the year. Look here. This doesn't make any sense to me. This guy, Shy, has literally put up over 20 points in damn near every game that he's played this year.
Mm-hmm. He's a
Double
beast.
digits, 30-point games. That is ridiculous, bro. I don't even watch basketball like that. This is a crazy run that OKC is going on. And the closest thing that you can say to that, even though they're not number 2 right now, this is the Lakers in as far as go as Luca and LeBron being a team together.
Yeah. Okay. I do think the Lakers make a deep run in the playoffs, and I think
They can, yeah.
I feel like they're at a point where they're just trying to just hold these guys off, right? Give some guys some rest and everything else. Figure out when you have Luca and LeBron out, you get to figure out who's your bench players, who's your sixth man, who's the guys you can depend on later on in the season. I think this is their best chance to do that. For the Thunder, I think it's very dangerous if you were to have to play the Lakers or the Warriors in round 1. I think that is a very dangerous spot to be in. I think I would probably rather play the Warriors than play the Lakers, because again, the Lakers may not be, as fast or as agile, as young as OKC, but they're in the playoffs. To me, when it comes to the NBA, that veteran presence, right? You got LeBron, you got Luca. Their entire team is loaded with veteran talent, guys who've been there, guys who've gone through the races and whatnot. And I think that's a very hard thing to overcome in 7 games. As dangerous as the Thunder are, and as legit as the Thunder are, that the Robinson Network, they actually mentioned here in the chat, as dangerous as they are, as legit as they are, their downfall might just be their youth and not having gone that far in the playoffs. And yeah, it's going to be round 1, but you got to play 7 games. And I guarantee you, if they do play the Lakers, they will be playing 7 games. And it's not going to be a short 7. It's going to be a long 7. I can't see the Thunder getting out of that series with a victory. I really don't see that happening.
I understand. I mean, because you would expect that Luca, now with the experience that he has, and of course with LeBron, he's been to multiple championships. Western Conference, Eastern Conference, and NBA championships. You would expect that experience to go along, and not to mention the team that he's already on with Reeves having that experience. But OKC, if people don't remember, they were right there just last year as well. Well, they were a series away from the Western Conference champ. So it's like when you have these defensive stats that they have, along with the offensive stats that they have, and you have the leading MVP candidate,
you're saying it should make up the gap.
It should definitely make up the gap because they have some experiences. I put OKC right there along with Green Bay. I feel like Green Bay was like they're so young, but you can see the hunger in them. I feel like if the weather hadn't been such a impediment last year, that Green Bay and San Francisco game could have been so much better compared to had it not been for the rain. So when you look at OKC last year, they were extremely young. See what they do this year, and not to mention what they're already doing. Imagine what they look like in the playoffs, already having the experience. Because we've seen what Ant looked like. We've seen what Luca looked like last year. These young players who don't have that playoff experience just yet.
Can they go 7 games?
Exactly. That's the big what if.
That is a what if, and that's the only thing that if you play the Lakers in round 1, and again, I think they can sweep the Warriors. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they can sweep the Warriors, but also the Warriors are just like the Lakers in some points where they're not going to show their full force. They're just doing just enough to stay in that 6th spot. So when you do when you do got to see them, right? If you do have to like match up and end up falling into playing these guys, they're going to come healthy because we already know what Jimmy looked like in the playoffs. We already know what Steph looks like in the playoffs. Draymond looks like in the playoffs, right? The game ain't all black and white no more. It's a lot of shade of color in that, right? It's a lot of elbows. There's a lot of diving on the floor. It's a lot of the game turns into like a little bit of a street ball game. So
I can say it probably turns to the more real basketball because the refs sit back a little bit. They say, play the game. There's gonna be a foul here or there that they miss or that they flat out don't call. But overall, they let them play basketball.
If you got to play 7 games against vets who are going to do all the brutal stuff, right? Who's going to bump you up and stuff like that, that's gonna bring a lot of wear and tear. And Shy ain't the biggest
Yeah.
guy. Shy ain't the biggest
No.
guy. And
Yeah.
that's again, these are the only things that are questionable, right? I'm not questioning their offense, I'm not questioning their defense, right? I'm just questioning the wear and tear they might endure versus more veteran present teams. Because think about it last year. Who they played the Mavericks and they did lose against the Mavericks, but again, that wasn't much wear and tear on them. The Mavericks were they're not as aggressive as you're going to see with these older teams. What the Grizzlies ain't aggressive like that either, right? They're more loose team as well. But these teams that are going to slow the game down, the Warriors are going to slow the game down. The Lakers are going to slow the game down. So you're going to have to play with them inside the paint and make some magic happen. And that's the only thing I worry about them. On the East, we got the Cavs lead. They're number one, Celtics two, Knicks at three, Bucks at four, Pacers at five, Pistons at six. Our play-ins, we're looking at the Hawks, Magic, Heat, and Bulls. You know what? I'm happy that we got the Southern teams are actually are actually competitive, man. The Hawks, the Magic, and the Heat, man. They don't that sound good?
Yeah.
The Southern,
I
the
mean,
Southern
but we
team.
we already know what the Heat are about. But I'm
Yeah,
surprised that they're actually still in it at this point.
yeah. The obviously we know the West, right? You're not going to get into the West. They don't have any teams that have losing records in contention, right? So right now the Heat are 29-38. The Magics are 32-37. The Hawks are 32-36, and they're all looking for the play-in. Um, I don't think I don't honestly I don't believe in the play-in at all either way. But that's the teams we got.
Hey, the Lakers got in off of the play in, and they made some people upset. So you don't never.
But I think they're using I think that's just a tool to kind of like it's almost like a little rest thing. All I need to do is get into spot 10, 9, 10, and I can, if I'm the Lakers, I feel like I'm a really good team. I'm gonna fall back to the 9 and 10, and then I'm gonna play my first game. I'm
Nah,
gonna warm up against the Hawks. Yes, it's a risk I'm gonna take, but sometimes it might be a risk worth the reward.
I think what makes this different is that the I felt like the East is very top heavy this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with between Boston and the Cavs. Outside of that, who you really looking at? The Knicks, the Lakers got that.
Yeah,
Obviously, OKC got that. I feel like the Warriors got that. I feel
the
like the
Bucks,
Nuggets, even though they're not the full team that they were previously, I feel
they're
like
gonna
they
be
could
good.
get that.
Yeah,
So you see, I just named four West teams just like that. The West is a lot more competitive this year compared to
100%.
how it used to be. So it's like I feel like the East has like them real two or three teams, and then you got the West. You're looking like who's really going to come out of that? You think that it's OKC. The the general consensus says OKC, but what if it's the Lakers? What if it is the Denver Nuggets? What do we do for that? What if it is the Warriors? And what if that veteran presence really makes that much of a difference?
There's a chance that everyone who's playing outside of the Mavericks and the Kings. All right, but there's a
Oh yeah,
chance.
yeah, yeah.
There's a legitimate chance that the top seven teams right now for the West could all be fighting for really getting to the NBA Finals. Again, top
Yeah,
seven teams: Thunder, Rockets, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Lakers, Warriors, Timberwolves. All are legitimate contenders for the chip. The Mavericks they sold their stuff down the line. Um, and in the East, you really are talking about the Cavs, the Celtics, and again, I don't believe in the Knicks too much. They gotta prove themselves. And the Bucks, I don't think the Bucks have mature not mature. They haven't grown since that championship run. And I heard who was it? Wasn't Jeff Teagues. It was man. He's a guy out of the Atlanta Hawks. He's retired. I think he's retired. Um gosh, he was on a network and he said Giannis has not developed his game much past the championship run, and Lou
The
Will,
guy that's
Lou Will,
shooting
look,
like over 50%, the guy that's shooting over 50% as a top five leading scorer in the
mhm.
league, that
So
guy hasn't developed,
Lou Will
you
said that,
know.
right? My thoughts on that is maybe maybe the organization hasn't developed,
There we go.
right? So
There we go.
the main guy has gotten better. His game overall has gotten better, right? He can play
Yeah.
inside. He can do a little bit on the mid range. He's gotten better. Again, like I said, 50% shooting. Um, but we are looking at a point where the organization hasn't made those aggressive moves that are needed to be made. Yes, you brought in Damian Lillard. That's a cool thing. You brought in Damian, but should you have gotten Damian, right? And if you did get him, what other pieces are you bringing around to make this work, right? When you let your coach go, I was from the championship run. I was kind of like, why would you do that? What you're
Yeah.
expecting? Are you expecting more? You didn't expect that before him, so what are you expecting more? You let him go, and who Doc Rivers is their coach now? Is Doc the coach right now for the Bucks? I think he is.
No. Doc is the one in Philly.
Doc is in Philly. You sure? That's why they suck.
Oh. Oh. Whoa.
Uh, that's why Philly ain't
Bucher.
really great.
Budenholzer. Oh, Doc Rivers. It is Doc.
Okay, so look again. Okay, this adds to the point here. This adds to this adds to
Mm.
the point, right? So now I'm gonna
Hmm.
tie something else into this, right? I'm gonna take you back to 2008. The run by the Celtics. We all know legendary run. They had their big three, but the most important piece
Yeah.
of the big three turned out to be the point guard Rondo. Right, came onto the scene. Very skillful, understands the game, understands the court. He's going to be an excellent coach in the NBA one day. All the
More than
players,
likely, yeah.
all the players admitted that Rondo was the one calling the plays on the court because of how he sees the game, and it was a significant reason why they got where they got to. Doc has not been able to replicate that same success with the Clippers. Hasn't been able to replicate that same success with the Sixers. Wasn't able to replicate that same success with the Bucks because he's doing the same thing that the Bucks organization has been doing as well. They have not developed or they have not developed or even changed their thing, what they do best. They haven't changed anything. Right? They haven't done anything. So you're starting to see the issues that we're following. Shows on the stream in 10 seconds. Okay. Reggie says, don't take the risk, too many games.
Um.
I think he's talking about the playoffs.
I when it comes to Milwaukee, I think, like I said, you have, by general consensus, probably these somewhere between the second or third best player. But I think since the championship run,
Mm-hmm.
you got rid of Chris, you got rid of Drew. So
Mm-hmm.
now, obviously, Drew helped another team win a chip, and you brought in Dame. Dame don't play no defense. This year, you got rid of Chris. Chris is what, 6'10", 6'9", somewhere around there. He's a defensive guy by the fact that he's long and he's that big. So
Mm-hmm.
is it you see, you can see the deficit and where they are right now, and you're
Mm-hmm.
kind of waiting to see if there is that extra push. Meaning, can those bench guys or can another starter really push them that far ahead? But it kind of, I can't say that they are the Knicks, but they're more or less, right or wrong. I mean, they're more or less right there along with the Knicks, to where can they beat the good teams? Sometimes.
But not
But
7 games.
if those if those good teams are on their A game for a 3 to 4 game stretch, hmm, I got
Yeah.
Cavs in Boston.
I like Cavs. I like Cavs and Boston. I don't see another team in the East right now that's holding up to doing
Yeah,
anything significant. In my opinion, I'm not saying all the good players are in the West, but all the teams that look like they're put together, and a good majority that were built the right way are all in the West. I mean, you again, the Cavs and the Celtics are your outliers. The Knicks, I like what the Knicks have been able to do once they got when they got Bronson and stuff like that. I like the moves they made to go get Townsend. I love the move they did. He's a different player than what he was with the Timberwolves than what he is in New York. I love the move. I love what that's happening. But I think they're also a year or two away. They got to add a few extra pieces. They got to develop a little bit more and what they got going on in order for them to be a legitimate contender down the road. Says, nah, don't take the risk. What? Hey, yo, Reggie. Shout out to Reggie. What is don't take the risk? Are you talking about too many games for the NBA overall? Are we talking about just changing the landscape of the basketball?
and say I would say all of your top 10 players, most of them are in the West right now. Outside of people, if you go by the general consensus, outside of Giannis, Tatum, and maybe someone like Bronson, if you want to put them in your top 10, or Tatum, that's 3 players outside of 10, or outside of another 6 or 7. All of them are in the West, so that means more so all of your good players are all your top players are in the West. That means the East has to have real teams, which Boston does, which the Cavs do. So when you go up against the OKC has 2 or 3 top 25 players. LA has 2 or 3 top 25 players. Your teams, all in all, have to be that much to make up for those 2 players. Boston does, obviously. The Cavs do, obviously.
Either you
when it comes,
either you draft,
either you draft them or you have to trade for them.
You got to be aggressive.
And
with it.
Paying is crazy these days. So your option, or that your hope, is that you can draft them and develop them. Obviously, the Lakers didn't draft Luka, but they brought him in, and you see how well he works with LeBron. Okay, see, that was a pure draft to develop. We see where those players are and how well it's working.
They've done that. They've done that twice, and we got to commend them for the 2 times they've done that, because the other strategy they have done is the trade method that got them nowhere. But the draft method got you 3 Hall of Famers.
Got you an MVP.
Got you 3 MVPs.
3 Hall of Famers and an MVP. Wait.
They're all 3 MVPs.
Yeah, 3 MVPs. 4 at this point, I think. Doesn't KD have an MVP?
KD has an MVP. Yeah, KD has an MVP.
So you finna have 4.
So your draft department is excellent, and your developing department is great. You don't need to trade in. Some teams, Lakers, because the environment that they're in prevents them from taking the long route. They tried the long route. They drafted
2 great players. 3.
Who?
3. I'm sorry.
Magic,
and Kobe.
Nope, they didn't draft Kobe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, damn.
They draft. yeah.
I always forget that. Damn.
Yeah, they don't. They are a buy and they're a buy and sell team, a franchise. They're a buy and sell. They buy. Hey. They know how to see your talent and make it better. Right? When they went and got Shaq, same thing. They went and got Robert Horry, same thing. Derek Fisher's their best draft pick.
Kareem, well, we can go down the list, man.
So these are they're not that. They're not they're gonna do what they have to do to win. So but that's what they are, because their environment doesn't allow them to buy and hold. Because remember, when they got LeBron, and when LeBron was like, all right, look, we need to win now because they're asking for us to win, what did they end up doing? They traded away their entire house to get AD. So to get a win, to get a championship. Now obviously that deal with the Mavericks, they took advantage of the owners not knowing how valuable that guy is, and basically destroyed the Mavericks and knocked them out of the run in one night. So now if you're a team that needs to develop talent or want to do the short game, if I'm doing a short game, I will be reaching out to teams that have guys that they're unsure about paying long term. I'm because I might as well do that if I'm not going to play the long game, I'm playing the short game. I'm going to reach out to franchises who have players that they don't have a I want to stick behind this guy. Obviously, I think Zion's the first guy on the list that I would go reach out for because it looks like he's starting to turn a corner. And
Yeah,
so
but
I gotta.
that only works with certain guys though. Like when it comes to Luca, Luca is a top 5 player. When it comes to LeBron, obviously LeBron is who he is, top 2 player all time. When it comes to somebody like Jimmy, Jimmy has made every stop better. Every guy isn't like Jimmy, you know?
Mhm,
Like even at this point, Jimmy is what 34, 35 years old, and
mhm,
he's making these old Golden State Warriors look like something. What 10 games in a row before they finally lost the game,
mhm.
or at least they were 10-1, something like that. So it's like every player isn't like that. Everybody isn't a fit. So you have to make sure that if you
Yeah.
bring somebody like Zion in, they have to fit. They have to
Mhm.
fit the culture. They have to fit the people around them that you already have in the team, especially if you're trading away players.
And
That goes into a lot of your thought process.
that that does too, because you have to have a guy like who's willing to wanting to get better, but also to talk to the next guy and be like, look, you got to step your game up. You can't just be a five
Yeah.
wall. And that's the like LeBron went to the Lakers. Hey, the whole team, y'all can't be fly on the wall. Y'all got to start doing something because you can't win with whatever y'all got going on now. Miami did that whole switcheroo as well at one point in time. The Knicks are doing it currently with the change with the people they picked up, Brunson and Kyle Anthony
Hmm.
Townsend. They've done the same thing. The Sixers are an interesting situation because they've also done the buy and hold method. It hasn't worked out too well for them in recent years, but their draft method has worked out for them. So they should have just continued to build through the draft. So, so Reggie says the Lakers should look to stay out of the play-in and honestly get the highest seed possible, even if that means facing Denver, San Francisco, or Houston right off the bat.
Oh, they're fine. Only people that I'm truly scared about them facing is OKC. Denver, you already seen what that looks like.
He said they
I'm
acquired
not
Kobe
worried
on
about
draft
Golden
night.
State.
They
They,
acquired
yeah, they
they
did. That
they
was a
did
trade they did with Philly.
They did, but
Um,
here's the thing: when you acquire somebody, even on draft night, right? Even on draft night, that means you did not get them originally. You still made a trade for
yeah,
them.
at the end of the day, I mean, because think about it. Think about what the difference would look like if Luca was in Atlanta and Trey was in Dallas. Do Dallas get to the NBA chip with
Mm-mm,
Trey?
mm-mm. Because that's
You know,
that's
so
that's not their mo. That the thing about the team. Think about this, right? The guys who've been drafted and where they've gotten drafted to makes a huge difference. Where they got drafted to or where they got traded from the initial pickup, right? So Kobe was drafted by what you said, Philly.
yeah,
I thought he was drafted by
I think it
Charlotte.
was Philly.
I thought it was Charlotte.
It may have been Charlotte. It may have been Charlotte. I'm sorry.
So
Forgive me, people.
he get drafted by Charlotte. Kobe doesn't fit Charlotte. The work ethic he doesn't fit Charlotte. The Bobcats at the time, right, or the Hornets, whatever they were at the time, don't
It
fit
was
that. Doesn't fit that.
Bobcats.
It doesn't fit that situation.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was the Hornets. Charlotte
Hornets,
Hornets.
Hornets. Then they moved to New Orleans, and then the new team
No, it
Bobcats
was
stayed up there.
Charlotte Hornets, and then it was Bobcats, and then became the
Hornets
wherever
again.
they moved to New Orleans.
Yeah, New
Yeah,
York
Hornets.
Pelicans doing that. But like they don't that franchise and Kobe don't fit, right? And so you have to get rid of them because your franchise is not built like that. If you look at when it comes down to the Spurs, same situation. The guys who they've been drafting, right? You drafting guys who are either international players or who have that same type of uh, uh, mystique or what do you call that? Aura or they fit the culture of the Spurs, And that's the same
Yeah.
thing with the Mavericks. The guys that they pick have to fit a certain culture. Trey fits Atlanta. That's just he fits Atlanta, right? And so Trey was the first pick, right?
No, I think he was somewhere like top 5.
I thought Trey was the first pick of their draft.
No, I don't think so. They gave him a lot with that 6'2", but
He was the 5th pick.
yeah, okay, cool. Look at me, remember
Who was the
drafted by the Dallas, and then he was traded for Luka. What? Hey, look, man,
Luka was
look
selected
here, bro.
early.
I'm sorry for what they've done this year, but we're gonna have to give that man credit for
Who?
his presence with the Dallas Mavericks. Shoot, I don't know how I forgot Mark Cuban.
Oh
We
my gosh.
we
He needs an award.
Hey, look, Mark Cuban has done so much for that franchise as far as especially money wise and his collective know-how of basketball, which we probably would have never thought he had. But maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But as far as putting the money up and saying, "Hey, we need something to make this jump," go get that boy.
He's
Go get that guy.
he knows talent. 2, he builds the thing that we talk about, the culture, right? The culture feeds off of what Mark Cuban is already. So what the owner is, it leaks down into the rest of the team and what the franchise is doing. And so they follow it, lockstep and key with what he does. They were following. So the way he treats his staff, right? When he sold the team, he took parts of the money that he got to pay the workers that were in the facility. To pay the workers in the facility, I think he broke off over like $2-3 million to give to the workers for their bonuses.
Like that.
And stuff like that. Like those type of owners, man. Trust, man. Great guy. Great.
You always know how good your franchise is based off your owner, and that's as simple as it goes. We see what happened with Washington when they traded the owners. Frankly, you see what happened with Denver when they traded owners. Immediate change.
Immediate change.
So
Let's see. He says,
we see what happened with Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. I mean, Dallas is. Dallas is
just going down a crapshoot for the past 30 years. It took 1 year for the Mavericks. It took 2 for Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas. Reggie, what question you got, Reggie? We're gonna answer some questions that Reggie got. What you got, Reggie?
Yeah, Kobe got drafted by Charlotte, and then he got traded to the Lakers. I don't know. This might be like I said I think it was like 2 weeks ago when I said this. This NBA finals period and playoffs might be the most interesting that we've had in a while, as far as especially when it comes to the the NBA West. Whoever that finals appearance comes through or from, that's going to say a lot. Like I've heard some people, like Stephen A said this, and I hadn't even remotely thought about this one. What if you get Cavs versus Lakers and LeBron has to go home during that series? That's going to be crazy. Like, when's the last time, one, you have a Hall of Famer going against a home team, or 2, when's the last time you've seen historic franchises like the Lakers and the Celtics going against one another? That's been over a decade, bro. We haven't seen that since what, 2009?
You know what? The thing
That's
about
crazy.
The thing about that rivalry until 2008, 2009, that run between the Celtics and whatnot, we had came up in the era when we were born in an era where at that point in time the Lakers were the Lakers and the Celtics
perennial playoff players.
Yeah, but the Celtics were just they were on a lull because obviously Bird had left. So when we were watching the game, the 76ers were the thing. The the Pistons were doing their thing. The Nets were doing their thing. The Lakers were doing their thing. The Spurs were doing their thing. But it was like,
and then Boston traded for KG, and then here we go.
Traded for KG and went and got Ray Allen.
Yeah,
Big moves. I know people don't like. They're like, man, they try to stick the big three issues that the league has went through because of LeBron, but they forget that again that long-term memory versus short-term memory. They forget that those three guys came together, Ray Allen and the Truth, right? They all joined up together and said we're gonna do our thing.
Right? We've had super teams well before them. You had the bad boy Pistons. You had the Celtics during the 80s. You had the Lakers with Kareem, West, and Robert Horry right after them. So like people, come on, calm down. Super teams are not new.
Look at the Spurs. Although they drafted those guys, that was a super team.
I'm saying it doesn't matter if your super teams were put together or traded together. They are who they are.
Do you fault greatness when? Do you fault the guys we say the GOATs of all time? Do you fault them for not dominating their era? For the last, think about this way, because when we talk about we talk about LeBron and we talk about Kobe and their runs and the things they've been able to do. We talk about the Celtics right now and what they did a little bit there. We talk about Golden State and their run, right? This is more so the era of LeBron when it comes to Golden State. But LeBron and Kobe technically both gone through two eras in which another franchise technically dominated their era, right?
That's cool. That's cool.
Jordan's, that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm wondering. Do we
we are when that's why I want to slap people when it comes to the NFL and NBA. These are team games. Team. If this was tennis or golf, I would completely understand you. Hey, people, look at me. All you GOAT when it comes to the Michael Jordan. He didn't win without Scotty. How many Hall of Famers played on those Bulls teams?
So
Kerr,
the whole team,
Pippen,
half the team was Hall of Famers.
Rodman. Out of each year, each one of those playoff runs and championship runs, 3 out of 5 of those people are Hall of Famers on each one of those teams. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it.
They're Pistons team.
The Pistons can't win until Boston and the Pistons were out of there. The 76ers was in his way. The LA Lakers until Magic left were in his way. And the only reason why Magic left was because he had HIV. If he hadn't had HIV, he would still be playing.
Yeah.
Like, calm down, people. Like,
and the only reason they got Boston was because Boston had aged out.
Aged out. So when you want to talk about Kobe and Bron, they played against good teams, bro. You had the Dallas, you had the Boston, you had the Pistons during Kobe's time and LeBron's time. Frankly, when he got old enough,
I think the conversation of being the GOAT needs to be taken out of the conversation moving forward. Because I think you have too much worry on who's the next GOAT and not who's the next great teams. Because think about it is, the greatest team in our era of basketball that we've seen, franchise, is the Spurs.
I don't know. Them 73, 75 win Golden State Warriors are right there.
They're really good. They're really good. But remember this. They happened because after the Spurs ended their run. Because think about this, the year before.
Well, you also got to remember that they're like 3 to 4. We're like 3 to 5 years younger than those guys as well.
That's what I'm saying. But think about it this way: the Spurs' last run for the championship, right? Their last run in the championship, and round 2 of the playoffs. Who did they play in round 2 of the playoffs? They played the Golden State Warriors, and they had Gortat as their center at the time. He was their center at the time period for the Golden State Warriors. And in that game, I said this. In that game, I said the Warriors are the future of the NBA because they're giving. The Spurs are going to win because they've been here and done that before. But this game is the measuring stick for the Golden State's run moving forward. And I said this when it originally happened. Now, the reason why I say they're the greatest in our era, and I'm not talking about Golden State's era because again, the game had dramatically changed once that baton was passed, and it was supposed to be passed over to LeBron easily, but it wasn't. And so all I'm saying is right now, like the Spurs, I love the Lakers and their run, but the Spurs, in my point of view, they either were winning the championship or they were in the conference finals fighting for the championship.
Yeah,
they got what 5 or 6 in that run. What you got one.
Kobe himself has 5 rings.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 with I think he had 2 with Shaq. The other 3 were 3 with Shaq.
He got 3 with Shaq because the 4th they were about to do they were trying to go for a 4-peat, and then that's when they lost to the Pistons.
Okay, so he got 2 or 3 without Shaq. So that means he had. There's Lamar Odom, cool. He's good. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. Derek Fisher, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. Powell is probably the only.
In my opinion, Derek Fisher deserves to be in that Hall of Fame because
he might be. He might be.
His contribution to the game, it's just like in my opinion, is he as cerebral as probably?
Are you calling him Eli Manning then?
I don't know.
You're essentially calling him Eli Manning. He's not Hall of Fame talent-wise, but you can't call the NBA without him. Like you can't call the NFL without Eli.
You're right. You can't in the echelon of Kobe's history. That guy got 5 too. He has 5 as well, and he's been on every.
Derek?
Derek has 5. He's with them. He's been there the entire time.
You sure that's not coaching?
Could be coaching, but look, I'm already gonna give. Phil already has his flowers.
Phil is certified.
Phil is
but
certified.
Also think about it. In all of Phil's rings, and he has what? 8, 10, 8, 9, 8 or 9?
He has 11.
Because
that's
ridiculous.
6 with
he had at this point he has at least what 7 to 10 Hall of Famers on his team.
That's all coaching.
At least no.
Yeah. No. Part of that's coaching because here's the thing. Like we
cool. No, not all championship teams are full of Hall of Famers. Because you want to think about it. Let's go back to them Cavs days that LeBron was winning with, that he won with. How many Hall of Famers on that team? LeBron.
Look.
Kyrie.
We've already admitted.
Coach?
Look. We already admitted. We already admit this. LeBron's a created player, right? If you go back to 2K, those early years of 2K, and you try to create a player, the guy looked like LeBron before you even finished the guy. So he's a created player. Hold on. He said technically the Lakers did draft Kobe. They instructed Charlotte to draft Kobe and then traded him for Vlade Divac. Then they signed Shaq in free agency. LA wanted Kobe, but they needed Shaq too. Sticking with the NBA, do we like the play-in mid-season tourney stuff they got going on? Is it changing culture? You can answer it first.
It's not changing the culture. It's not changing the culture at all. I think it's probably making basketball for the better because, frankly, as I've always, well, I ain't gonna say always thought, but as I've thought for like the past 5 to 10 years, they need to shorten the league. I mean, shorten the games that has been played. What did they play? What 60 some games? Is it 82? Okay, cool.
Games, yeah.
Change it to like 65, 70, maybe. Change it to like 65 games. You probably see a sense of urgency when the games.
Change the start time too. Change start time.
You could probably change the start time too. That probably might help. But overall, lessen the number of games.
There's no point in playing. In my opinion, there's no credible or even valid games being played. If you're NBA, clearly there's no valid games being played in October and November. I mean, but end of October, start of November, December. You're not playing anything relevant until maybe the Christmas game because what you're gonna go against the NFL in their biggest times of the year. That's just dumb. I mean, at one point in time, it's probably a great thing to do because every sport was playing their typical schedules and stuff like that. But now the NBA needed that trade for Luka for everybody to be talking about the NBA right now. So yeah, I agree with you. I would shorten the season. I would change their start time. I think Christmas Day should be your opening day. I think that could be your opening day on Christmas Day.
Ooh, that's a little too late. That's a little too late. I ain't gonna hold you.
Well, here's the thing though.
Because you think about it. When did the All-Star break happen?
All-Star break is
a little less than a month ago.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the NFL. The NBA season kind of springs right into the summer, and it ends right around that point. But if you're talking about ending right after or right before the Super Bowl, they're not going to get those ratings, bro. They're not going to get those ratings at all.
No. Well, I'm saying start the season. I'm going to start the season at the.
Once again, that's a little too late.
if you started, let's say you started in Christmas time, right? You started in Christmas time, and you ended late June. If we're changing the amount of games they're playing, you end it like late June. You can move that All-Star weekend to probably spring break time period in March. You can probably move that a little bit instead of doing it in February. You do it in March. You already got players who are sitting out 30 plus games a season. So you might as well go ahead and adjust that time, how many games they play in the season. But also we're just going to move the All-Star game to March. And so after that, every game matters. There's no ifs.
So you're taking away from, but then a lot more people are tuning in to March Madness than they are to the NBA game.
Well, here's the thing though. This is 17th. March Madness starts to the 18th tomorrow. I think tomorrow 19th.
Yeah, 18th, it starts this week.
So you got. I mean, yeah, we're looking into the spring and stuff like that. But all I'm saying is I'm just saying the All-Star weekend. You can do an All-Star weekend maybe the week before or something like that, or the Sunday or whatever. You can mix it in that because this year, yeah, March Madness has been crazy. But last year's March Madness wasn't that great. It was cool, wasn't that great? Right now you're looking at the ups and downs of college basketball, but every season of college basketball hasn't been that great. I mean, the women's basketball for the last 2 years has been the true showstopper. And March Madness technically really doesn't really get kicking off, or really the Final Four is not until April. So there's no mega game going on. I mean, you might have a few matchups that you're gonna keep your eyes on, but you can wiggle a little bit. All I'm saying is if you do that, you got Christmas Day. That'll be your thing, right? We don't have to, and you will have more eyes on your basketball game because this is the first basketball game of the season. On Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, however you want to play it, it would be the first game. And if you were to play, what's the harm in playing later into June for your playoffs? What's the harm in playing the finals later into June? You're already playing late to the game ends the 19th, 20th, 21st anyway already. What's the harm in pushing back an extra week or extra 2 weeks? I don't see a problem in that, especially if we lessen the games.
Like I said, I think it's just a simple fight of viewership between Super Bowl, draft, March Madness, and the start of MLB. You're fighting a lot between December and the summertime. You got the NFL playoffs, Super Bowl, the draft. You have you do have the draft, but you have free agency and the draft and the MLB.
You're basically saying by trying to dodge the NFL, you end up getting everybody else.
Yeah, because you have to start before the NFL, because if you don't start before the NFL playoffs, you're not going to get that notoriety. You have to go ahead and put that footnote in. You have to put that foothold in so they already know that you are playing. So cool. We have to make sure, that, especially if you're in somewhere like Dallas, cool. I have my Cowboys playing, especially if they get into the playoffs, and then I have my Mavericks playing. That gives me something to look forward to.
So
Cool. I live in LA, especially if I live on Western Standard Time. I have so many games that I get to look forward to at that 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock period.
So in that, so where do you start the game off? You keep the game starting off in October? Do you keep the game starting in November?
You have to. I would say you started off somewhere between October and November. You have to start at least a month before Christmas because you already know what Christmas is. Christmas is cool. We have our NBA games. We have our NFL games, and we are good. Ain't nobody else taking that.
So where are you cutting back on games at?
I would probably start a month later. I would start maybe at least in November. I would probably cut out October, start us in November so we can get to Christmas. We already have a foothold leading into the new year, and that way we can lead until the summer and we are done. Because by summertime, you are leading into college football. And then the week after that, you have the NFL in that first week of September. You have to already have a foothold before you just say flat out, I'm gonna take over NFL. You're not taking over NFL, especially opening week. Especially when then you have NHL starting up, and then you have MLB spring season going on right now, and they're finna go into the actual season. You're not taking it over, especially from heavy MLB fans. You're not taking that time over. Opening season is very important because they want to see how you're going to look for those first 10, 15, 20 games in the MLB. Yeah. If you're not looking sharp, if you're not looking some kind of good, a lot of people lose faith in your MLB team. And I'll be like, oh, okay, we'll just have to wait till midseason to see how they come along. Otherwise, you're sloping and looking sad if you know a true MLB fan.
So I'm trying to see their calendar. Their how many games they actually play in. Ooh, I'm going past years. How many games they actually play? Let's see. How many games they actually play in October?
My main thing is having that foothold. If you don't have that foothold, you're not going to get that recognition and that airtime. If you don't have that airtime, you're not making no money.
So they're playing the first. So it's preseason. Trying to see when their first regular season game being played. So October is all preseason right now. It looks like it.
More or less, yeah. Between
you're not probably
not MLB yet, but it's mostly basketball at that point.
So their first game is technically played October 22nd is the first game. So if we were to cut, we're talking about 10 games here. 1, 2, 24.
You can start in November, midway through November.
Mid-November, you take those 10 games. If you cut just 10 games, just to start off, cut 10 games. That's not bad.
You just need a foothold. If you don't have that foothold, you're going to lose viewership. And then, like I said, with those 10 fewer games, it creates a sense of urgency where people, at this point, you have to watch the games towards the mid and end season.
So here's the other thing then. Do you keep the play in?
Yes, because that's one of the things that creates that sense of urgency.
Cut 10 games, keep playing. I don't care for the tourney, the end season tourney. This ain't high school.
You at that point you can cut the end season tourney. I would not the end. I would cut the play in at that point.
The only benefit to the tourney is that the players, like the G League players or players that are coming up who play in that actual tournament that they be doing in the beginning of the season, get $1 million or they get some type of check before. That's the only benefit. But you can play that play in, or you play that type of tournament at the end of the preseason. do like a mini preseason champion tournament, which they do. I don't know. You can do it doing that instead of doing it in the regular season. Because I'm honestly, like, in the years they've had it, 2 years they've had it, I'm confused as to, like, how does this work into your regular season schedule? Like, is this
I don't like the play in because I feel like it's just it's a
money grab?
the play in is it's not even a money grab. It's just like it's a here you go trophy. You
Yeah,
know,
like,
it's just like it's a participation trophy. Like, you played this season, and we think that you possibly could do something in the playoffs, but we don't know for sure.
what do
I
you
like my playoff teams to be for sure. Like
what do you
that 7th team in the NFL, you can
yeah
dead that right now, and I wouldn't care.
what like okay, here's the thing. What do you get if you win the tournament other than the money and a trophy? What else is the incentive?
It's more or less bragging rights. That's why I said that's why the NBA needs something like that, because we can clearly see over the years they don't have that fire no more. It's playoffs or nothing. The All-Star game is crap.
I,
We come to grips with that at this
do
point.
you
You
do
need
you,
something to you need a
what
fire in their belly at this point,
is the,
especially midway through the season, to where it says go win something. Because if not, who knows what they're
so
gonna go into leading into the All-Star break, where a lot of them just say F it.
so I've heard this happen. I've heard this before. For some, the players that are coming into the league right now are not as hungry as they used to be, and because of the circuit they go through coming out of high, from little league all the way up to high school, and they don't have that type of hunger or dog in them to make it to the NBA and to be great in the NBA. It's almost as if they expect to get there. Do you think the NBA has to adjust how they go and get their players? Because I because some of this is just some of the guys that we talk about here, like the ones that we are considered like the future of the NBA, right? A lot of them are, a lot of them have that hunger or X, Y, and Z, right? But it's the the interest is not there because I guess the effort and work that it takes to get to the NBA isn't as believable in terms of the grind as it once was. And I think what happened with LeBron issue and Bronny and how that works out and the guy getting drafted because of your dad and stuff. I think that's an ugly look for a league that is about playing with the best of the best and guys who really want to be here, who are really dogs in this league. I'm not saying Bronny's not good. I'm not saying Bronny won't grow into being something great. And it's not even about the Bronny topic. This is just the overall culture of the NBA as we speak right now being so laxed and unrecognizable. I don't see that bark in there.
I would say yes and no. I think nepotism exists in every facet of life that we go through these days.
Mm-hmm.
That can be from sports to your low level management to whatever. So it kind of is what it is. But when it comes down to it, like we hinged on it last week when it comes to the Boozer kids, when it comes to Gilbert's kids, from his boys to his girl down to the youngest, they all look good. We just have to wait and see what they look like in the future years. But do you have to have that dog? Yes and no. There's good players who don't have that dog. That obviously the greatest have that dog, but you don't have to have that dog in order to be a good player. Does it help your game? Does it make you seem more interesting? Yes, of course. But I think overall, as long as there is a good product as far as the overall game, I think it will beat out who has the dog, because there will always be those few players who drive it. That's why you have a face of the league. I don't care what league it is. Every league has a face. That's a
100%.
few five. That's a few 5 to 10 players who are just on a different echelon of who everybody else is, and that could be over just sheer will or just pure ability. It doesn't really
The,
matter. You know
the
who they are.
the NBA right now, they have a lot of guys who are in the bag or in the bucket to get picked to be the face of the league. There's obviously one guy who doesn't want to be the face of the league, but based off of his marketability, brother, he ain't got no choice. Uh,
Yeah.
you really got no choice about what you want to be or not because you're on every single billboard, every single commercial. right now is between you and I think Shy. I see him on a few commercials, but for the most part, like
Shy, Luca, yeah.
AT, like Ant, this is you, right? We trying to give you the torch, right? It's like I don't know if you ever seen Barbershop? You seen Barbershop?
Yeah,
Where Ice Cube try to give back the money back, and the big guys start running. Where you going? Come back here! Come back here! He's like, that's yours. That's you. That's you. You can't give that back. And I think that's what's happening right now. I think the NBA has to take even more of a deeper approach into and to try to play a bigger part into the development of the guys, like of the little league game, and have a little more of a presence in the AAU circuit, and in that sense, because the reason I'm saying that is because the difference we see when it comes down to the NFL and the NBA. The NFL doesn't technically have to go down into those leagues to try and, try to get them to have the same mantra that they used to, except the rules. They had to like, hey, let's try to ease back on allowing you to hit helmet to helmet. But the culture of football is the culture of football. So when you go down to the little leagues, they play more like the old classic way of football anyway, compared to what they see in the NFL. So that aggressive nature, that hunger, that drive to get to the league or whatnot, right? That stays in you, regardless of your mom or dad or whatnot, being a coach or whatnot. Like that stays in you. That has to be in you because you're physically putting your body on the line every time you strap up and you get out there. The NBA, I feel like, needs to go down there because the coaching is different. In the little league football, little league sports, high school, whatever, their coaching is the classic way of the game. The NBA's issue is that the little leagues are not teaching the classic way of the game. They're teaching the highlight version of the game. And when you only teach the highlight version of the game, the kids never get to understand what it really truly means to actually play this game the right way. And you start to have those guys come in and trickle in, and they have to be redeveloped once they get to the league or the G League or college. So I'm just saying that the NBA might want to go down and be like, hey, we're going to send our refs, our coaches or coaching or ones who are coming up in the pipeline. We might send them down a little bit into these certain areas of the AAU development circuit to try and reprogram how the game is actually supposed to be played. So when you find that product down the line, it's not in shambles. It's not developed. It is actually a full-fledged product. I think the NBA is looking into possibly doing that route because you see it happening in Europe currently. That's how we get Luka.
No, I definitely I hear that because that kind of goes into what we were talking about last week as far as like women's sports. I feel like I said, the women's learn the game more fundamentally than men do because men feel like they're so superior athletically wise and so our athletic wise, and so that's where you get that gap into where there are some of course who go into the league and they thrive, of course, but you see more women going into the professional leagues and thriving because they've learned those fundamentals and they've kind of molded and melded their game around skill and fundamentals compared to a lot of the men. And I feel like if we get more fundamentals in games, period, sports wise, you will get a better product in the years to come because now you've melded that skill along with those fundamentals and you like, oh wow, that's where you get people like Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase. Those four receivers, they're so fundamentally sound along with the specific skills that they have. Wow, these rookies are coming in and they're just dusting everybody. It's not that they're dusting everybody, it's that they're so fundamentally sound along with their skills, it puts them at a different level and edge against everybody else.
Because the thing about the NFL is that the thing about football as a sport, you not understanding the fundamentals could get your teammate hurt. And let's be honest, you could get killed on the field. We know that can be possible, but or severely injured to the point where you are paralyzed or something like that. While in the NBA, because there's no true bodily harm for you because of your error, except
Kind of
maybe a
skips his way
turnover.
through.
It skips his way through, right? Because think about it. When you see guys from high school go to college, they're taught, no matter how big the guy might be as an old lineman, he's taught the fundamentals on how to truly move a guy, how to truly lift weights, how to truly do all the things at a fundamental level. Because once you get to the league, they don't want to teach you that all the way. They want you to know, they want you to have at least an understanding of it. And then once you finally get to them teaching the nuances, like the little extra stuff, right? You become an all pro. But everyone in the league is technically, for NFL wise, supposed to be just as talented and fundamentally sound. And when we talk about the NBA, because the talent sometimes a lot of times overshadows what your true abilities are, or your true natural or fundamental skills are, you can skip through and you can walk into the NBA and not truly understand how the game is really played. And that is a travesty that we're seeing. And that's why I'm throwing in there, like, hey, maybe because we already have, and it's weird because the NFL, the football is doing it more so now, is more known compared to basketball, where you're seeing like an IMG Academy. You're starting to see Chaminade Madonna is also like a football academy, right? These are football-based academies. And yeah, they have basketball, but it's not the focal point. I could see the NBA starting to employ, hey, we're going to tab a few schools or a few different things, overtime, their sports thing as well, as spaces where, hey, we need you to teach the game the right way and develop these kids the right way. And we will, that's quote unquote, we're going to look at your kids more so when it comes to the draft than we're going to look at these kids coming out of these locations. So it's going to force these guys to actually get with the program of what we want the league to actually look like. You know, because once you get to the NBA, it's very hard to change what you're already doing. But I could definitely change it if you haven't.
Yeah. I honestly, I think that's what changes the elite people, the elite players from your just regular everyday pro players. Your elite players are able to kind of see where they lack at and what they need to get better at, and then they hone in and focus on that, and then they get to that higher level compared to your everyday players who are just, I'm good at what I do, let me continue to do so. Your elite players say, I'm good at what I do, but I feel like that there's a level left that I can get to, and let me go ahead and strive towards that. If you're not willing to strive towards that greatness, you're going to be at that. Oh yeah, he was real good. He was real good,
but
he wasn't them. But
you know, like what Kobe said, like they said that, you know, what he said was talking about, like, I was fast, but I wasn't quick. You know, my hands were good. Yeah. They were nice, but they weren't big. So I couldn't palm the ball, right? You got to learn that part. Like, I couldn't palm the ball. So I needed to get better at that. I couldn't play defense a certain way. So I had to learn how to defend this way, right? You technically force yourself through your training to improve the things that they say you lack in. We're seeing that with Anthony Edwards. You mentioned it with Giannis, 50% shooting, because when he first came into the league, boy, if he wasn't dunking,
somewhere between 30 and 45, you know, If he wasn't dunking, it was duck,
Yeah. Let's see. We got any more questions now? We ain't got no more questions out on the line. We've been in this for an hour and 45. I will say this: those who listened and gave us questions, I definitely appreciate you guys for jumping on. There's some things that on the outside we're working on or looking into doing. If you guys have any suggestions of things that we could do to improve or whatnot, definitely would appreciate it. I also want to give a big shout out to Josh, because I would say that because how well Josh is at his detail, I'm having to try to catch up. I ain't gonna hold you. Well, he be going so deep. I gotta catch up. So like obviously with like some of the graphics or even some of the information, I gotta continue to double down on my information. So I definitely appreciate.
That's why we're a team, my man. That's why we're a team. This conglomerate work together to make it a well-working cloud, you know.
And there's a few other things out there looking to try to do this year, maybe this summer. Honestly, you know,
You can't put them on too much, man. Can't put them on too much. Not yet. Not
yeah,
yet. Not yet.
yeah, can't do too much. But if you do, we might have here and there, have some surprises come up or whatnot. Some people that might jump on either on our live or even on our regular day-to-day battleground conversations. But we'd love for you guys to follow, subscribe on our YouTube channels. If you're already on YouTube, we'd love for you to follow, subscribe to us on the podcast when it comes to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow, subscribe. Sports Hungry _pod, Sports Hungry page.
Sports Hungry. Tap in, people. Tap in.
That guy, Joshua Darnes. Definitely, please follow, subscribe, give us some love. But also, if you know anybody that wants to sponsor an episode, our next live, please give us a shout out. If you have a business that want to sponsor our next live, please give us a DM or email us or whatnot, so we can link together and we can have you sponsor one of our lives. As we grow, you'll grow as well. And we got an extra follower subscriber on YouTube the last 2 weeks. So we're closing in on 100. Technically closing in on 60, but we're once you get past 50, you're closing in on 100. So that's what we're closing in on 100. So
speaking into the existence,
yes, sir, yes, sir. So other than that, man, Josh, you got anything else?
Nah, people. Hey, look, tap in. We up and coming. We just speaking what's on our heart and what's on our mind, and based off a lot of different variables. So we just speaking what we think.
We get a lot of love out here too, man. We started to see some.
Hey, look,
some more love.
You see this S right here, but over and all, this H right here, we hungry.
Oh man, we gotta eat.
Gotta eat, man.
We gotta eat. But
we're gonna eat regardless, but still, no, it helps if y'all feed us too,
and other than that, man, again, Joshua Darnes, Purnell Bills, Sports Hungry Battleground, YouTube Live. Again, you subscribe to us, we'll grow, you'll grow, you'll get better, we'll get better. And again, if you are worthy or want to feel like you're worthy and argue or battle with us on this, please hit us up. We have no problems in having a nice little conversation to I ain't gonna say educate you, because you're already gonna be educated.
I ain't gonna say
educate you. We're just gonna give you our point of view.
And you should let know how,
And I think that's about it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it'll be easy.
Oh, all right. So